Audio is often overlooked by beginner filmmakers, but it is an essential part of any shoot.
Having bad audio can make a video physically unpleasant to listen to, so you must get it right, even if getting it right means the viewer doesn't notice at all. Like editing and visual effects, if you notice the audio design, something has gone wrong.
The core of any recording setup is the audio recorder. For certain situations where you don't care as much about audio quality, you can plug your mic right into the camera and it will automatically sync with the video. However, cameras are usually not that great at recording good audio. Using an audio recorder gives you better quality audio and more control over the recordings.
To monitor audio, your sound mixer will be listening to the recording using headphones plugged into the recorder. The recorder will often also have an extra battery bank plugged into it to keep power for the entire shoot.
Also connected to the recorder is, of course, the microphones. Different recorders will have different numbers of inputs, but they almost always use XLR cables. These cables connect to and often power the mics or receivers they are connected to. When a microphone is powered by the same cable it transmits audio through, it's called phantom power. If a microphone isn't working, check if it requires phantom power and that said power is turned on in the recorder.
Shot 1B.1, take 3. This is the last part of your recording setup. The slate. This is a board that is clapped by the second AC in order to enable audio sync and editing. While this is technically a camera job, you're going to want to work closely with your audio team in order to make sure it's effective.
There are many kinds of microphones which are used in filming. The most common types are boom mics and lavalier mics. There are also stage mics, but these are rarely used on set.
Boom mics are what you usually think of when you think of on-set audio. It's a very directional mic which is held on a boom pole by a boom operator. The most directional of boom mics is called the shotgun mic. Generally, the longer the boom mic, the narrower the field of audio it picks up. Different boom mics will often have different areas where they'll be more sensitive to sound. This is called its polar pattern. Common polar patterns include shotgun, omni, cardioid, and supercardioid.
To use a boom mic, the microphone is mounted on a shock absorber at the end of the boom pole and connected to an XLR cable which is wound around the pole. The boom operator must be extremely careful not to bump the cables during recording, as it will pollute the audio.
Sometimes, boom mics aren't used on boom poles and are instead hidden around the set to get closer to the audio source. In this instance, the mic is called a plant mic.
A lavalier microphone, or a lav mic, is a very small mic that is clipped onto the subject or actor. This microphone is often used when the camera is far away from the subject and the boom cannot be used. Lavaliers typically produce worse quality audio than boom microphones, but are often used in conjunction with boom mics to ensure all sound is captured. Unless you're doing interviews, you almost always want to hide a lav mic by either tucking it under clothes or taping it to skin underneath clothes.
To transport audio signals, there are many different types of cables, but in professional settings, you'll typically come across two: XLR cables and TRS cables.
XLR cables are durable cables with 3 pins, and they are balanced, which means they're impervious to signal interference. XLR cables are very popular for professional applications, and almost every boom mic uses them to transmit their signals.
The other kind of cable you may come across is a TRS cable, which stands for tip ring sleeve. These cables can either be balanced or carry stereo signals, and typically have a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch audio jack, like the ones phones used to have. Many headphones will use TRS's worst cousin, TS, which is unbalanced mono audio, and will typically have an 1/8 inch audio jack connector.
When dealing with audio cables on set, there is one cardinal sin: bumping the cable. If you bump the cable, you bump the audio and add artifacts to the recording. To prevent this, always wrap the cable around the boom pole tightly and coil the remainder at the bottom. Avoid loose hanging cables as much as possible. Some boom poles will run a cable inside the pole, which can prevent external bumping but sometimes introduces internal bumping.
When you're done with your cables, you need to store them properly to prevent damaging them or reducing audio quality. Never coil them around your elbow. Instead, use the special technique shown here. To start, grab one end of the cord and make sure it flops down naturally. There are 2 steps when wrapping a cable, and you will have to feel what the cord wants to do in order to determine what is first. The first step demonstrated here is the tuck. Start by grabbing the cable with your other hand with your thumbs facing in opposite directions. Run that hand about 2 to 3 feet down the cable, then bring your hands together with your thumbs still opposite. Great, now you have your first loop. It should look like this. Next is the stack. Grab the cable with your other hand with your thumbs facing the same direction. Run that hand about 2 to 3 feet down the cable, then bring your hands together with your thumbs still facing the same direction. Keep in mind that you may need to roll the cable with your fingers before stacking to get it to lay nicely. This pattern will repeat and alternate for the entire length of the cable. Remember, the first step could either be tuck or stack, so try both and see which makes the cable loop most naturally. Once you're done, secure the loop with Velcro. Congrats! Your cable can now be stored safely and will last for many years to come.
Getting good audio at all times is vital to your final video. If at any point during the shoot you don't get good audio, the accompanying video becomes almost unusable. There are a few techniques you can use to make sure you're getting the best audio possible.
First and foremost, always get the microphone as close as possible to the subject's mouth without ruining the shot. The closer the mic, the clearer the audio.
Second, record audio to an average level of -20 decibels. This means that when characters are talking normally, the audio level should hover around -20 and peak at -10. This is to ensure that you don't peak the mic, which ruins the audio. If your audio meter ever reaches 0 decibels, you're dead.
Most boom mics come with this foam piece which fits over the mic. A good rule of thumb is that if your microphone moves at all, you should put foam over it to prevent any wind polluting the audio. If you're outdoors, you'll likely want to use a blimp windshield to further protect the mic from the elements and wind.
Finally, sometimes you'll need to move your boom mic to follow the subjects as they move or to pick up multiple subjects. When doing this, tilt your boom mic away from the direction you're moving, like so, to prevent it from getting wind into the front of the mic. Audio scene 1F, take 2.
While you're recording audio, try to be mindful of the editor who will need to use the audio and sync it with the video. This is why it's so important to slate. In addition to providing a label for the shot, it is vital for syncing audio. Also, make sure the cameras are recording scratch audio. This is audio taken with the camera's inboard mic, which can be used for assembling footage and syncing audio.
When you slate, always make sure the camera and audio is already rolling. And if you're in charge of the audio recorder, say audio rolling to let the rest of the crew know that you're ready.
On higher budget sets, you may have access to something called timecode. Timecode is precise timing information which is built into audio or video, which can be used to quickly and precisely sync footage in editing.
To make timecode work, you need a timecode generator for each camera and audio recorder. Many audio recorders have timecode generators built into them. For cameras without a timecode input port, you'll have to sacrifice your scratch audio and run the timecode signal into the audio channel using the audio jack.
Once you have all your timecode generators, you need to sync their timing information. This is called jam syncing and can often be done with an app.
Well, that's recording audio, but what about sound effects? Music, ooh, music, let's talk.
Okay, next time.
Bye-bye!